So the topic is, I had a topic online that she put out, how to accept an unacceptable behavior. I think that's the title that she gave.
What?
How to accept an unacceptable behavior. Right? Really, the discussion we're going to have is a unique tool that's brought out in a Sikha in Parshas Emor, actually, where the Rebbe discusses the power of words. What words have the ability to accomplish within a relationship, within forging a relationship. But it's miyusad on a Mishnah. So let's start off with a question. Famous Mishnah, Havidan is kol adam lekaf zchus. Very famous Mishnah. There's actually a very commonly found line or phrase in English that's based on this Mishnah. Which liner? Anybody? Judge a person favorably. In English we say, give the benefit of the doubt. The benefit of the doubt is probably sourced in this Mishnah. But there's one case where you can't give the benefit of the doubt. When there's no doubt. When there's no doubt, you can't give a benefit. You know the person did something negative. Seemingly negative equals negative equals negative. There's no room for changing a factual negative behavior. So donis kol adam lekaf zchus seems to be restricted to areas where there's doubt. But when a person faces a negative behavior, what do you do then? How does a person supposed to react, or can a person react in a favorable way? So the Rebbe explains there is a way how a person can react to negative. Not only can they react differently, but they can change the negative without confronting it. And that's going to be the discussion. Danis kol adam lekaf zchus is going to be a unique way how we can not only react to negativity, but actually change and impact a favorable change, a positive change within a negative behavior. And the Rebbe bases this on a Rambam. The Rambam writes, "Havim mesaper b'sheva chaveroi v'loi bignusei klal." The Rambam writes that a Talmid Chacham has an exceptional behavior. What's the exceptional behavior pattern of a Talmid Chacham? Says the Rambam, he engages in sharing shevach of his friend, praises of his friend. He doesn't talk at all negative about his friend. There's two questions on this Rambam that basically scream out from the Rambam. It's shouting out to be understood. A, I mean, that's a law in the Torah, not to talk gnus about your friend. I mean, there's nothing exceptional about not speaking negative about your friend. That's simply an ordinary halacha. That's what every single yid is supposed to apply themselves to. So why does a Talmid Chacham? What's exceptional here? And B, mesaper b'sheva chaveroi, this concept of sharing praises on your friend is actually another halacha on the Rambam, which is in regards to every single yid. The Rambam writes, mitzvah l'kol adam leiv is kol echad v'echad miYisrael. A person has a mitzvah to like every single yid, and he continues and he finishes that paragraph by saying, lefichach tzarich l'saper b'shvachai. The natural consequence of Avas Yisrael is l'saper b'shvachai. A person shares. So what's exceptional in Talmid Chacham? Says the Rebbe, the Rambam is referring to a case where there's gnus. Sharing shevach, sharing praises is one thing. But sharing praises in the face of negativity, gnus is negativity, that's an exceptional behavior pattern that needs to be understood, and this is going to be encompassed within the statement of the Rambam, that this Talmid Chacham has something exceptional within his engagement. It's in the way he engages with a negative behavior, that not only is he able to engage, but he actually creates a scenario where there's no gnus. He's able to change. Gnus is negativity. He's able to change negativity and through his praises. Obviously, this needs to be understood, and this is the premise of how the Rebbe goes into a discussion of how we can encounter negative behavior patterns and somehow have an impact on the person, but in a exceptional way. There's going to be something exceptional. Okay, that's the first 3 points on your handout. So how does this play out? So a little bit we discussed last week, but this week we're going to go more in depth into it. Let's recap. There are 3 general phases or ways how words can have an impact on someone else. Simple way or the ordinary way is you praise someone when there's something praiseworthy. So a ish hachesed, the person who's a kind person, he's known as a kind person, and he did something kind. So there's a shout out, there's a expectation, there's a need. So you say thank you. You're mishabeach. You praise the kind. You're not making him kind. He was kind. He did something kind because he is kind. You're simply sharing something that's expected to be shared with someone who's kind. Okay. That's the normal shvachim we give. We say thank you and we praise in a reaction to an existing chesed. You're not creating, that's the simple, ordinary way how we are mishabeach. Call that sharing. You're sharing something with the other person. It's expected.
Why is this? Why is sharing praise?
In 3 ways how we give praise. One way is sharing. I'm giving it to an expected address. I'm not motivating. I'm not awakening. I'm not creating. I'm sharing a message that's expected to be delivered to this address. I'm not making him kind. He is kind. Then there's a second way. We discussed this a little bit last week. The main discussion today is going to be in the third way. And then there's going to be a 4th way that we never discussed yet. And the second way is that you can awaken. Shvachim are not only giving a praise to someone who already is praiseworthy, but I can make him praiseworthy through my shevach. What does that mean? The example we gave is when a person is bekas. The Alter Rebbe writes this. Person is angry, kas is anger, person is angry, person is upset. What's really behind upsetness? In other words, if a person is upset, that means before they were close, and now they're not. The upsetness is an indication of distance. But before the moment that the person became upset, they were close. So they're sleeping. Their closeness is sleeping. Upsetness means the closeness is sleeping. Why is a person's closeness that previously existed now sleeping? Because you put it to sleep. How did you put it to sleep? He's questioning whether or not you're close. So he wants to sleep. That's what anger is. Anger is a moment where you're questioning whether or not the other person is close. So you want to sleep. And it expresses itself in the moment of angry, upset. Call it whatever you want. Slighted, upset, offended. All these nice words are expressing it's a question mark. It's a question mark. That's really what it is. I can answer the question mark through a shevach. What's a shevach? What's a praise? Praise is not flattery and not... Praise is expressing, I do appreciate. That's really what a praise is. A praise we explain that words are, and this is a taich in Chassidus. This is how Chassidus explains words, and it's a beautiful, it's a real way of understanding words. Words are amazing because most times we find a representative, someone who represents or something that represents. The thing that represents is usually mixing in with the message that it's representing. A person who's representing the president feels very proud that he's representing the president. He puts it on his resume. They usually have some kind of self feeling, and that can sometimes detract from the message they're giving, and it's a very big challenge. Words, you don't hear anything in the words. Words are 100% the message and the intention and the conviction and the feeling behind them. When you hear words from someone with an apology, you say, I hear it in your voices, you don't mean it. I do hear in your voice, you do mean it. You don't hear the words, you hear their intention. An apology, you're not looking for fancy words. A thank you, you're not looking for fancy words. You're looking for the feeling. The feeling invested in the words express themselves in those words 100% organic. The words simply don't have anything besides a feeling. So person upset is waiting for the shevach. Express your feel. What's shevach? What's praise? Express that you're taka there. You express that you're taka there. Good. So now I'm not. My question mark was answered. So a shevach can reawaken a previous sleeping feeling. That's stage 2. We discussed this at length. Someone mentioned to me a nice example. They said that they did it not in dibur, not in speaking a praise, but they wrote a praise. How did it play out? So they said that they had someone who was their friend, and they had a moment of kind of breaking up, there was a misunderstanding, but yet she cherished that person. But the person didn't want to talk. They don't want to talk to. So how are you going to praise them? How are you going to reawaken the previous feeling? So she wrote a letter, and in the letter she detailed the appreciation she does have, and the misunderstanding, answering the question mark. But she didn't, there's a tricky thing. Words that are oral have the voice within it. So you hear the voice and you hear the feeling. Words that are written are very, very tricky because you don't have the feeling invested in it in a tangible way. So you have to rewrite it and rethink, and it's very, very tricky. But written words are very, very tricky. So usually shvachim are much more effective when it's oral because the voice, the feeling is actually there, and that's what people want to hear. They want to hear the feeling. It actually goes, I once brought it out, that it's actually not only oral, but it's visual too. The visual component within the oral adds to the word experience, because the feeling experience actually expresses itself in the visual as well. Okay. So that's all within number 2. Good. So what do we have? Number 1, shir. Number 2, you awaken. Right? This is all in the 3 stages. Then let's discuss the stage that we're discussing, which is you can create. What does this mean? A little bit we talked about last week, but this has to be discussed. What does it mean? Can I go to someone who's not a Yisha Chesed? He's a kamtzan. He's a stingy person. Can I go to someone who's not honest? Can I go to someone who's not smart? Can I go to someone who's not responsible? Can I be mishabeach them? You're responsible when they're not responsible? Can I be mishabeach and not chacham that they're a chacham? I can't. Yet Chassidus says you could, and you can actually create a midah in them. How does that play out? What does that mean?
That there's something, even if it's similar to that thing, even if it's not exactly.
We just started off with a premise that everything has to be factually and genuinely. If you're going to go to someone not smart and say they're smart, they'll be offended. They will not take it in a close. They won't take it as you trying to create a closeness. They're actually going to take it as you're making fun of them. They know what they have. I know what what are you making fun of me? You're going to go to a kamtzan and say, oh, you're such a isha chesed. You're such a kind person. You're making fun of me. Go away. Everybody knows what they feel, which midas are experienced within themselves. Well, you're gonna call out a name that I don't have? You're making fun of me. No, we said I could. There's a way to do it. How? What does that mean? And this ties into our original question. When you're facing negativity, there's a way how we can somehow awaken something and be able to change the negative. How? What does this mean? This has to be understood. So that's number 4. But obviously, as a premise to this is number 5. It's very important as we go through this concept of creating a midah in someone else. Very important to remember the fundamental understanding behind praise. It's not a manipulation of words. Every time a person in all of these stages is uttering a word, they have to first go back to their heart and see what they feel and allow that feeling to be invested in the word. Otherwise, it's called manipulation, it's called flattery. In Hebrew, it's echad b'peh v'echad b'lev, and it's felt and it's nonsense.
You have to go to intention.
It has to always go back to the lev, to the intention, to the feeling. It has to be, in English we call it genuine. You have to go back to the lev. It has to be dvarim hayetzim lev. Science stage 1, science stage 2, it has to always be from the lev. Otherwise, it's not going to have any impact. How does this play out in stage? So, how does this play out in stage 3? What does it mean to create? So
Inside
there's
yourself first.
You
have to create the bond in yourself.
So, but how can I? Okay, I have to go back to myself. I got it. But how can I create something in the other person if it's not existent in the other person? What do I have to do?
But isn't it there already? I mean, everyone has everything inside of them. It's just some people exhibit more than others.
So a child is not.
A person who's not smart. He is smart. He's just maybe smart in a different way. And you can not exemplify, but you can bring that out in that person.
So
a person
explain.
who's not necessarily a kind person. They do have kindness within them. Everyone has all the spirits within them. So there's a way to bring it out in them.
So let's explain. So let's explain. What does that mean? Let's play it out. So do they have it or do they not have it?
They do. Everyone has
Do they consciously feel it?
Probably not.
If they don't consciously feel it, then how can I bring it out? This has to be played out.
If you see it within them, you could there's so many stories the Rebbe saw potential in somebody.
So play it out with people, not with Rebbe.
Oh, really? Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because this is
נכנס אל הלב.
מה?
מה שיוצא מן הלב נכנס אל הלב.
נכון, אבל אם אין לו לב, איך אני יכול להיכנס?
You are manipulating us. You are now manipulating us intellectually.
He's taking us through.
That's okay, nothing wrong with that.
Here's a goal line.
Because everybody, unless he's a psychopath, and he can be a psychopath on all kinds of, in many fields, he can be a murderer, he can be a social psychopath, he can be an economic psychopath, unless he is this kind, which is a sickness, you can reach anybody if it is within him, but not expressed.
So let's play it. You're right. You're 100% right. And that's obviously what we're looking to accomplish with Nesapa B'Shet. But how did that play out? Let's play it out with the scenario. So let me play it out.
מה שיוצא מן הלב, נכנס אל הלב. If you come into yourself with no pretension,
So let me give you a
Top
case of
of
that.
all of the clippers of yourself, and you feel yourself. You are one with yourself. You are authentic to yourself. Then you express yourself in a way that goes into the other person authenticity.
So let me give you a case scenario. Let's see how this plays out. Two people are friends. One is a Hachnasas Erechim. Is one really feels for Hachnasas Erechim. They like having guests. It's something very important, and they really enjoy it. The other one does not like it. They don't like it. They don't like guests. The whole concept of guests is something very much they don't like. And one of them is bothered. How come you don't like guests? I always want to invite guests, and you don't want to invite them. So what do you do?
You ask me personally, I don't believe in anybody who doesn't like to invite guests. You see, I believe a good thing, a good mitzvah is in each one of us. The only thing is, you have to reveal it to him and give him the opportunity.
So how?
Huh?
How? He's telling you I don't like guests. You're right. You're right. But Yanko was saying.
נכנס אל הלב. You explain to him why.
Yeah, but he
You
just
tell
doesn't
him
like
to
it.
tell it. You tell that, and you do maybe action. You say to him, today we are going to have a gathering. I need your Beit Israel. I need your table. I need your house. Let's do it. Believe me, you shall enjoy.
So Yankel is talking to Leah. Leah loves having guests, and Yankel doesn't. And Leah says, we have to have guests. And Yankov says, "Drei Minish can come. I don't want to have guests. I like my
Of course,
privacy."
if he says Remenish Kekop and all of this,
Yeah.
so if she doesn't lose her nerves, and she is kind and all of this, eventually she reaches.
So Yankov keeps on hearing from Leah, have guests. Yankov becomes immune, and Yankov becomes almost allergic. And Yankov says, "Leah, stop it. I don't want to hear any more about guests. It's not happening. It's just something I don't want to do." Leah can have the greatest intentions, and she's genuine. But Yankov's not interested. He doesn't want to have it. You're right, but we have to obviously find a way how to reach Yankov's heart. Yankov doesn't want it. There could be a scenario where a person says, "I don't want it." So how do you now relate to him and somehow allow him to? He doesn't want it. He said he doesn't want it. He doesn't want guests.
Tell the story.
You're going to tell him stories and anecdotes,
No,
and he doesn't.
taste it, and you should like it.
She has invited guests before. He tasted it, and he doesn't want it. Right? Okay. So let's try to explain. I'm
You
gonna.
don't believe in the goodness of,
No, I'm gonna simply explain what you're saying. I'm not arguing with you. I'm gonna explain what you're saying. I'm gonna verbalize it. I'm gonna verbalize it. I'll play it out. Let me play it out. I'll tell you how Yankel does it. I'll tell you how Leah can do it. If Leah's smart, this is what she'll do. But I'll play it out in a different example first. Child comes home from school. I gave the child example last week. I'll continue with the Leah example. You know what Leah should do? Leah has to find a moment. No, I'll play it out with the school example. It's easier. So there's another example. Another example. Before we go to this example, this is a midah. This is chachma. It's easier with chachma. Then we'll go to the midah. Child comes home from school and he's not doing well on his test. He gets 1 right out of 10 questions. By all means, it's considered someone who's not excelling in chachma, right? Usually that's not a parameter of excelling. Comes home, the parents say, "You have to learn, it's very important to learn. And you have to do well." The more they're going to shout out he has to learn, the more he goes back into his conscious feeling right now where he doesn't know how to learn. So he's teaching, the parents are essentially saying, "You're a failure," so he's going to be more of a failure. Because what does he hear? He hears failure. That's what he feels. So it's not going to get you anywhere. So when you deal with gnus, you only make gnus worse. When you deal with negativity and shouting it out, you're making it more, you're strengthening it. You're intensifying it. What do we say? The parent, or whoever it may be, teacher, goes back. And it has to be mahalev. And yes, it has to be with the premise, like you said, that there's no such thing as an absence of chachma. Everything we have in life has 3 stages. There are lit fires. Lit fire means to say, we say in English, a person shines. Automatically, they gravitate in a certain area. I see this is lit. This is a place where the person excels. So there's lit fires. There are hidden fires. Hidden fires means, like the example of anger we had, where it's a sleeping moment. It's something we know you have, but it has to be awakened. But it's an existent thing. In English, we can find that there are things we do, there are things we want to do. I'm going to do it one day. You know, it's one. I know I could do it. I'm very aware, but one day. Right now, I don't feel like I could do it this minute, for whatever reason. But the bottom, I know about it. Then there are things I don't even know about. I'm simply unaware of things that I possess within myself. We call that potential. In Chassidus, the 3 examples brought down for this is a fire, a coal, and a flintstone. A coal still has a fire. A flintstone is unaware until you knock it hard that it has actually the potential to create a fire. But every single person has all 3. There's a moment of potential in every... So you're really not, like you said, every person's a real lev, a real person. There's something real there. But let's not confuse the two. We define ourselves based on our conscious feelings, not based on potential. And a child comes home, I mentioned this, a child comes home and says that he has great potential. It's not a day to celebrate. Potential is not something we celebrate. You can die with your potential also. Simein Garner. It doesn't mean anything. All humans have potential. Yeah, we all have a heart. We all have all 10 koiches. We have a potential for every single expression that the Eibishter created humanity with. Yeah, this is true. Chachma, chesed, responsibility, honesty, all the different midas, we all have potential. Shvachim, praises, in the first two cases, we're shouting out existing flames. We're shouting out hidden flames. They can also shout out potential, but it's a unique way to shout out potential. You can shout out potential. How do you shout out potential? By finding an iota of it in the consciousness of a person. The child got one right. How did he get one right? Where did one right come from? That come from a spillover, a little spillover of Chachma into his consciousness. Shout it out. Have him feel, so this is what happens. Play it out. And we all do this all the time. And this plays out in other cases too. And Nachas Lerchem is going to play out also. I'll show you in a second. The parent tells the child, that took you a while to take that. Obviously, for that child, it took him a while to get that answer. It doesn't come easy. That's amazing that you actually talk about that question. Talk about what he got. You're speaking genuine truth to a place that's factually going to accept it because Hitake had that. So you know what you do at that moment? That moment the child feels, what's the feeling of Chachma? I can do it. There's a feeling I could do it and there's a feeling I can't do it. I can't do it means failure. I could do it means I have the feeling within me. I have it. You injected in that child a moment of feeling that Chachma. It's almost like a videotape. Sometimes you have children watch. The cousins are far away. They see it in the video. They only saw them once a year. But the video all the time reminds them and suddenly becomes throughout the year, they remember who their cousins are because they saw it. You're replaying that one moment. It's a potential. But a Flintstone, you have to keep on knocking it. Otherwise, the fire goes away. Until it becomes a conscious fire that has a kiyum, that has a way to stay on its own, self-exist, you have to keep on pushing. You see, I know, and it takes igia. It's a very, very difficult task. It's very strenuous on the person giving it because you have to really put yourself in their position and it has to come from your heart to the other person's heart, like you said before. And so therefore, what are you doing? You're shouting out the little potential they do have. Let's play it out in other examples. I mentioned this in a different setting, and someone told me that they had a child, still have a child, Baruch Hashem, and the child wasn't doing well in halacha. He was in yeshiva. And he was a teenager, and Yom Mamish didn't do well. And one time, the siblings, a bunch of Achrim, they were fighting. And all the brothers called him up, Mr. Shlamazel. Look what you're doing in school, you don't know what you do. You don't get any good marks on your test. So the father took the opportunity, and he says, wait a second, I want to share with you something. Do you realize, he turned around to the other brothers, do you realize that he has an exceptional ability? Well, what are we talking about? Look what he did. Beautiful. He said, when he watches video games, they play videos. So he has an ability to absorb the video game, all the information and the levels and everything in an exceptional way. He remembers all the information. And he's able to, and not everybody who plays the video game has that zapping of information the way he has it. He says, look how he's able to absorb all that information. You know what that shows? That shows really he's able to absorb any body of information if he just wants to. But really he has that in him. That moment he injected into his son a feeling of, I have the ability to absorb information. And he did, and he got hundreds on his tests, and he became an excellent student in halacha. What did he do? He found a harale, in Yiddish they say. He found somewhere, like we said, yeah, you're right, every person has a lev, and every person is going to express itself somewhere. The kunz is, it's not a trick, it's a difficult because it's a talent. And it's very hard because you usually want to shout back at negativity. Why? And you have to hold it back and allow yourself to feel where the other person does have, and you pull it, it's like pulling a piece, and you're pulling out his potential. What happens is like this. At that moment, your dibur goes behind his existing fires of the recipient, behind the hidden fires. It goes into the other person's heart and schleps out potential. And now he suddenly feels inside his heart, I feel like I can absorb information. He has a feeling inside of him. You put a fire into his heart. Dibur can actually create a feeling in the other person. The other person right now feels like I have midas hachesed. I can midas hachokma, koyach hachokma. I have the ability to think. And you can do the same thing with Achnasa Sorchim example. Any example, you can do the same thing. What do? Everyone is going to find somewhere, it's hard sometimes to find, that they enjoy company. There's a feeling attached to enjoying company. There's a feeling attached to privacy too. There's a feeling attached to enjoying company, to giving, to what it means to give. Find a moment where the other person does have experience, appreciate, and actually consciously engaged in that kind of activity. Highlight it, shout it out, replay it in a video over and over in a genuine way. That moment you're pulling out but that's how you can help him. You don't have to deal with, you don't enjoy the negative, you don't enjoy guests. You have to show that he does. Because everybody does, somewhere. A little bit. And a yoda. You pull that out, you're not creating a flame. It's an amazing thing. So dibur is injecting a feeling in the other person. See, this is a deep thought, because really what's happening is in English there's a term called motivate. And dibur is not just motivate. Dibur really is because what's motivate? Motivate means, it's almost like I'm giving you instructions what to do. Here we're saying more than that. I'm putting a feeling into you. At that moment, the person previously didn't feel what it means to be kind. They thought they are not the kind of person. And now suddenly they feel, hey, I'm actually a kind person. I'm actually a person who can absorb information. I actually am a smart person. I can do it. We have the ability to create a fire in someone else. An unlit felt fire. See, because giluyim, consciousness of a person, is what we define ourselves. Potential, we don't define ourselves by. To pull from potential into consciousness takes a very big effort. And we not only can reach into the other person's, conscious, I can actually reach into their potential and pull it out. That's creating. That's an amazing koyach, and that's what the Rambam here is saying. The Rambam is saying, and that's what Dal Nakav Schus really means. Person encounters a negative behavior in a friend, in a student. A real teacher doesn't only address the lit fires and the hidden fires, but a real teacher is there to take out the potential fires and to light them.
When you say it's not to motivate them, but how do you motivate yourself to want to give that effort?
Sometimes we have no. If a person has a child, a person has a student, if a person cares, right? The word caring, if you care, if you don't want, then finish it. You don't want, so you don't want, it's not going to happen. Usually, this is a case where I want. I have something I like. I want to keep this. This is an important relationship for me. If you don't want, that's another discussion. You don't want. That's something within me. That's what you're asking. But this case scenario is I do want, but I can't stand this negative behavior. I want to stay here, but I don't like this negative. How do I deal with this negative behavior? That's what we're dealing with. That's more, it's a bigger chayli. Maybe you don't want, it's not meant for you. I don't know. If you don't want, there's another question. If you don't want, then you have to know, why did you want before? Is it sleeping? What's going on within you, right? You wanted once and now you don't want. What happened? Is it misunderstanding? That's another. The question we're dealing with is commonplace correct question. I have a person that I cherish. He's a student, a son, a friend, wherever it may be. But no one is perfect. And there's always going to be a moment where there's a negative behavior. A negative equals negative equals negative. And They should have achanas azarchim. There should be something, shouldn't I? But I can't change the other person. I can't authority. I can't. What am I going to do? So here, the Rambam has a unique way how to deal with it. Facing negative behavior, don't confront it. Let go of it. Find misaper b'sheva chaverei. Find the moment where they do engage in that positive behavior. Shout it out. Shout it out. Have them feel the tangible feeling that they actually do experience from time to time. Have them feel it a little bit more and show them how you connect to that moment, and thereby having them connect to the moment that they have always seemingly had but not necessarily connected to. And by you shouting it out, you are helping them connect to their own in self-connection that they have within themselves. You are helping, so now it'll be 2 moments a week, 3. So you're helping them light their own fire without dealing in the choshech, with the dark, with the negative at all. That's the concept of this Rambam. Dan lekav schus in the face of gnus. I'm changing a person's, I'm changing their negative behavior through schus, through highlighting their own positivity that they have. I am changing them. And the word changing is usually an opposite to relation. If you're changing, you're authoritative, and you're telling me, and then I don't want. Here, it's noyach im habriyas. This is Talmud Chochem. This is an exceptional behavior of a Talmud Chochem. There are 2 ways how to confront. When you confront bad behaviors, there's 2 ways. The ordinary way is you shout out negativity. And that has its downsides. You can shout out negativity, but don't expect a response of a welcome response of change. It doesn't really work all the time, or almost never. But a Talmud Chacham is someone who doesn't shout it out. He's someone who's noyach im habriyas. That's the lashon of a Talmud. He's easy going with people. He's friend, and the Talmud Chacham is able to shout out negativity without even addressing the negativity, simply by helping the other person bring out their own
What
shayla.
about like lying or something
Yeah,
like that?
this is not lying. This is not lying. This has to be genuine. If it's lying, it's manipulation.
No, a trait of lying. So how would that?
Other person.
How
What?
would you bring anything out that?
A person lying could do the same thing. Yeah, there's a moment. Look, lying has a feeling attached to it. Truth has a feeling. There's a certain satisfaction of saying the truth. There's a certain feeling attached to truth. When a person doesn't do it often, they lose that feeling. When you help them regain that feeling, you're not giving them anything new. You're giving them something they have. There's a story. Let me share one more story. Yeah, you wanted to ask something? Yeah.
That the thing is like this, that it's in your eyes to see the negativity, even it does not exist. And the thing is that who says that if my child comes with one answer correct in the test, that he has no chachma, that he is negative and all of this. Who says that if my husband doesn't like to invite guests, it's a negative? Who says if you are happy within yourself and you are in Israel, in Hebrew we say zorem, you are flowing, you are flowing with kaf zchut, and you love yourself, you are content with yourself, then you are not so categoric with other people, and everything, every movement they say, you weigh on a negative positive scale. No way. If you are happy within yourself, you know also how to see a child that lies. You can see a child that lies or bother you, and you cannot be bothered, and you can maneuver and navigate him in a nice way, to overcome. You don't have to see it as a negativity, because if you see it as a negative in somebody else, השופט במומו הפוסל במומו פוסל.
You're absolutely right. And that's exactly what we're saying. What we're saying is we shouldn't look at anything as negativity. Look at it as potential. And when you look at it as potential, you then are able to address it as pulling out potential.
There
Ein
is
Ein
potential, full potential, full.
This is true.
One has this, one
Thank you very much.
has this, and one has this. You know, even the one with impairment brain, you know, in some impairment in their brain, they do have potential. They can have autistic children or whatever, you know. Terrific potential.
That's right.
It's only the mechanism is not working, but the soul is a pure working.
Yeah.
I think it's also like different with a spouse or a friend, or when you're mechanech in children, or do you think it's all the same?
It's
Because let's say, I just was thinking about camp, overnight camp.
yeah.
When the counselors see negative behavior in front of them. So should they ignore the behavior, like the Rambam says, and wait for an opportunity to highlight the positive, or?
If a person is standing with a knife and about to kill someone, you have to stop them, right? So I'm not sure what kind of negativity, right? But if a person is looking to help someone change from wanting to pick up a knife, that's what we're talking about. There are moments when you have to stop negativity from taking place. There could be moments like that in life.
Talking about a more
But
permanent.
what we're talking about is a permanent change. So that's why, I don't know if a counselor in camp goes into that category, but a spouse does, a friendship does, a child does, parent to a child. You're not looking at today. You're looking at having a healthy child. That's where this plays out. Because this is a long-term way of dealing. We all grow, and we all have potential. Yeah.
For example, I'm just thinking of a quick example. You have a daughter that, let's say, it's SNEAS, maybe needs a little upgrade. So would you say to ignore? And then when they address SNEAS,
So someone asked me that question.
And pray.
So I was asked the question.
And when you speak to him, accept it.
So I was asked the question this morning, actually, and so I thought like this. Even dress codes go along with feelings. There are certain times when they will dress properly. Let's say when they go to shul. Why? Because they have a conscious feeling of another feeling. They're conscious of it. Although the words of they're aware of it. They might not consciously feel it so much. Now it's talent to find a way how to convey to them at the moment that they do have that experience, how you appreciate it and to somehow shout it out. Let's play it out. Yeah. So a person who in a law firm, I'm just going to play it out in a different way. In a law firm, you get dressed in one way, and you go to the swimming pool, you get dressed in another way. It's just two different places, right? So a person who comes to a law firm is going to automatically feel what a law firm is, right? So when you allow them to appreciate the feeling that they have, in this case, they're coming to shul versus another time. There's got to be, I use the words chasing after others or feeling confident in yourself. Wanting people, feeling a little bit on those lines. Person who's a little bit, make sense? They have that feeling somewhere. Whatever feeling is attached to the other dress, they have it. Find a way how to help them feel it when they have it. That's the Yusoid.
how do you bring it? How do you bring the feeling?
It's okay. Let me just premise one more thing. It's trickier when it comes to values. This one is not so much of a value because it's really dress codes. Conservative and liberal dress codes are not necessarily religious. this is not necessarily a value. It really boils down to a feeling. A dress code is not really a value. If you tell me talking in shul, I would have a hard time answering you. Because talking in shul, if they can interrupt people, they can interrupt Eibusha too. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference, right? So you got to first find out what kind of person they are. Do they interrupt people? Do they know what it means to respect anyone before you talk about respecting a shul, right? But so that's why values is not the same as midas. Feelings we all have. Honesty, chesed, achnasas orchim, absorbing information, responsibility. These are all things we all have somewhere. So you can help me pull it out more. I think dress is also a feeling. There's a feeling behind it, a little bit, in the sense of, right? There's a feeling behind it. If you help a person identify with the feeling, in other words, there's a feeling behind it. Why do people dress certain ways in different places? They're chasing someone, they're confident in themselves. There's different ways how people, it's an expression.
Fit into society.
I don't know. I think there's a self-expression. There's a self-expression in dress code. I don't know if it's so much of a fit-in. There's a self-expression in the end of the day. And if you tap into when they do recognize a different self-expression, they might just do it for others. I don't know. If they do it for others, then it's going to be harder to find. But there's got to be somewhere where you can find that they do appreciate what that is, highlight it, and then you have a conversation of something they have. A moment that they went to a funeral. I don't know. A funeral. They went. They respect. They showed. They had a feeling of respect for it. There's got to be a place where they have it. There's got to be a place where a person has that feeling, and then you can build it from there. Because you have to find where it exists. A little trickier.
They dress up for a wedding. You're saying that I see you respect the wedding hall, like the wedding atmosphere. Is that what you're bringing out, that they can reflect, like they can feel the
How does it
situation
feel?
that they're in?
There's a feeling behind. How does it feel, the respect you have? They went to a law firm. They went, not a law firm. They went to a place where there's a regal feeling to it, not a. And they therefore went ahead and dressed that way, right? They went to a place where there's a dinner, a bank. Even then they went to. But so you're bringing out where they do have it. But if it's values, then it's difficult. If it's values, lines of halacha, really, if it's really values, then it's a different discussion because it's not midas. It's not feelings that a person has, unless they have it somewhere else. The whole point of Shavach is point out where they do have it. That's the fun. That's the yisoid behind it. The yisoid is find where I do have it. Don't find me where I don't. I always like hearing my dues. I always like hearing. You make me feel good. You're making me actually feel good when you tell me the things I do have. And you're actually making me feel some feeling that I had in the past. I might not have identified that feeling. Oh, I feel it. You identify the feeling of achnas l'orchim, this person he loves having over his best friend. But he has only once a year. He forgot the feeling of what. There's a good feeling of having someone over, bringing them to your house. There's a feeling, there's a gashmisik feeling of chesed that it feels good to give. So so when they have over the friend, have a conversation afterwards. How did it feel? Wow, why did you have over your friend? Yeah, he doesn't. I can't. Obviously, this has to be with tact. And if the person's already allergic, then you have to have a few moments for them to be able to hear a different language from you. If they're already allergic because they heard so many times you telling me my negativity, they already don't even listen to what you're saying because they think it's negativity before you even say it. So then you have to have a moment of phase where they actually feel it. You let go of it. So now you let them be who they are, and you re-enter with simply bringing out an inyan of Shavach that they already have. And when you focus over there, suddenly the person feels like that's a real connection. You connected to the person. You're not telling them, it's not at them, it's with them. That's the yisoid behind the idea of Shavach. What's on your mind?
When you have a young child especially, and you want to reinforce good behavior, the phrase, one of the catchphrases is catch them doing the right thing. You've heard this before. And so that's what, in another application, that's what you do. You find when they are being congruent with the values, whatever it
But
is.
it's not only a child.
No,
We're all
of
children.
course not.
This is teva b'niyada. In other words, the idea of shevach, the way it's brought. In other words, this concept that shvachim are mo'ored is teva b'niyada. Now, okay, so this is stage 3. Now let's go to one more point.
Can you do this on yourself to improve your own?
We're going to go to the self. The last point is going to be how words can change yourself. First, till 14 is changing others. From 15, it's going to be about changing yourself. I'm almost up to 15. Let me first finish one more point before we go into yourself. Because obviously, dibur is to yourself too. Yes, it could. As a matter of fact, if you help someone verbalize their appreciation to something, that moment they're intensifying their own appreciation. Dibur is mu'ayr for yourself too. We'll get that soon. So you're helping that child who's struggling in that midah in 2 ways. By them verbalizing how they appreciate, let's say, a certain other dress code or achnasas orchim, by them verbalizing it, they're intensifying their own feeling. Just like when a person's angry and they verbalize their reason why they're upset, they become more angry. There's actually brought on a skula for kas is not to speak. That's a skula for kas to go away. Kas is anger. Right? The skula for kas. So dibur is mo'oder yourself too. We'll get that in the second part of it. Even in every area, in chachma, in midas, when you say something, it's crystallizing and clarifying even to yourself. So that's a double thing. When you find someone who has a negative behavior, first thing is to identify positivity. You're identifying it, puts a feeling in them. If you can have them verbalize it, like in a conversation kind of, you're actually intensifying that feeling, and they now feel it even more. Yeah.
Two things. What happens if it's so much a person's nature that, like, you could do so much of repeating the Shevach, but the nature is like, this is something that's growing with them for years and years. We're not talking about a little child, we're talking about an older person. That number one. Number two is, how long does it take before this fast-paced world, how long does it take before you see results? Do you know what I mean? It's beautiful, totally agree with what you're saying, but how long do you have to keep on giving the shot before you see the results, more clearly of that it's going in the right direction? And then I say, then the nature of the person plays into it, so like, are you gonna see a change?
The example of the child doing well. It wasn't a child, it was a teenager, which is harder than a child. It was a teenager, it was a 16-year-old, right? Why did it, you know why? There's one answer for both. Why did that moment he felt, and it was why was there an immediate reaction in that case? Only one reason. It's Dvarim hayotzim min halev. Words are meaningless without the genuine feeling behind it. It has to come. Words are a heart language. They're not a word language. It's not a manipulation. And hearts have their own way how they talk to other hearts. So if the parent feels, take it, and that takes a self-examine, a step back, a sense. You have to go into their shoes. You have to be nichnas alav. That's the comfort. So the parent had to actually feel. It takes an effort to find the Shabbat, and then it takes an effort to appreciate the minute Shabbat, because we're not used to appreciating a little Shabbat of one on the test. Well, I'm going to appreciate that. You have to find words. Tanya is an example. So Tanya brings down a person who goes in the shuk, a person who works in the marketplace, and there's more challenges working in a marketplace than working on a quiet street. There's many things that can come up. Person has to appreciate that the person is working in the marketplace, appreciate the fact that they're not falling into problems. You have to appreciate their scenario. Go into their life, understand their life, what's going on. You have to have an appreciation. It can't just be words. It has to be words that come out of an appreciation. That's the fundamental concept of dibur. Dibur is not words. It's heart. So there has to be a fundamental appreciation. You have to believe in your child. You taka have to believe in them. If you don't believe in them, the words are nothing. So then you have to go make your homework. Do you believe in your own child? Do I believe that he has that potential? Or am I just saying because I was told? If you're saying because you're told, then he's going to feel like you were told, and then he's going to tell you that I'm also told. Right? But if he feels that then he has now a feeling of empowerment. If he feels your feeling of your trust in him, and you shouted out his potential, it's an automatic moment of him feeling something on the spot. We all have it, all the time. We all know people in our lives, certain moments, who told us something, and that moment we felt like, wow, I never was aware I had that. Everyone can point to something, I'm sure, that they were unaware of, and someone else pointed it out, and I felt so good at that moment, and since then I realized something else. There's moments like that. And it was instant. Why? Because they meant it. It's very hard to mean something. If you really believe in someone, you're empowering them in the moment. You're giving him, and that's what parents do. That's what mechanchim do. It takes, but that's what it boils down to. It boils down to lev. Dibur is a lev language. It's not a manipulation language. Which words should I say? That's not about which words. Yeah. It's a real thing. It's a koyach. In Chassidus it says more than that. Could you imagine? One human could go into another human's heart. It's a koyach pella. It's an amazing thing. Animals can't do that. Animals can't go into another animal and say, I got what you think, the sheep to the bear. Oh, yeah, I think I understand. The ant is going to say to the bear. Any human can go into any other human's heart. If they only want to. We're called medaber. We're not called maskil.
If the other person wants to be...
Any human has the ability. Huh?
The other person has to accept it too.
If the other person feels... If the other person feels that... You see, this is the way... The pella is like this. In other words, it goes like this. It's almost... It's
not talking about that, an hour later.
It's almost like I'll bring it on this way. Dibur, in other words, the way it's brought down. Dibur, the moment I speak, I don't even need you to decide whether or not to feel it. The child doesn't have to decide. The child is overwhelmed and injected with a feeling on the spot.
So the question is, is it as well, do you think that works with an older person?
Older person too?
In 20 or someone who's in their 20s.
Makes no difference age. The question is genuine. Only thing age does is to question whether or not there's a motive. That's the only thing age does. We're so sophisticated, we're always questioning what kind of motive is there.
Age has layers on it.
But what does it do? It creates sophistication, which is motive. When a person tells me something else, what do you want from me? Right? So, because I've seen so many people, and also maybe, I had so many times when people did it to get something out of me, so I'm already tuned out to it. It's like I was
Trained?
Huh?
I'm trained, I can't hear the words.
Yeah, what's the word? No. I had bad experience. I blacked out of it. It's like I had bad experience. But if it's genuine, words have person. Now, obviously, there are cases where people come. Well, this is as a cloud. And then if a person already created allergic reactions, then there has to be a certain amount of time to let go of the previous time that you created allergic reactions. Okay, so let's see this inside. Oh, so there's a Maisa. I wanted to share a Maisa. So in the 6, there's a few examples. I gave you the example of 2080. I gave you the example of the child in the video. There's an example of Yankel the Moser. The example brought down actually from a real Maggid. I forgot the name, but it's brought down on one of these bichlach of shoulder. That's a Maggid. So a Maggid comes to the city, and the Maggid says, Kedarki, Maggid used to come, they used to darshan and talk about the ways to fix the hanhag of the city. So he comes into the city, And he asks, is there anything that needs to be addressed in the city? And they tell him, no, this is a city of an exceptionally Yiras Shemayim. This is an amazing city. So he asks for it, when you tell me you have something going on over here. He says, oh, yeah, there's something going on. What happened? Yankel the Master. There's a fellow called Yankel who is a master. He's someone that tattletales to the government, and it's a terrible thing going on in the city. He says, really? Okay. And as he's talking, Yankel the Master is walking by. So this fellow from the city, goes off, doesn't want to be next to Yankel. Yankel the Master walks by the Maggid. So the Maggid has now a face-to-face confrontation or encounter with Yankel. He says, Rabbi Yankel, was machst du? How are you? So Rabbi Yankel is taken aback the first time he hears the word Rabbi Yankel. And he says, oh, good. So he says, look, I'm a Maggid. My job is I give drashas. I'm going to be giving a drasha in the city. I'll tell you how I make money. Come to the shul, I give a drasha. And afterwards, everybody gives me a little bit of money. I need to have a big crowd. So if you're going to come, I hear you're a very influential person in the city. I'm sure if you come, you're going to attract the crowd. So I need you to come for me to make more money. Yankel listens. Yankel says, I'm not in the business of helping Maggid make money. It's not really what I do. The Rav this Maggid is pestering him. Yankel, okay, I'll come, let go of me. As soon as he said, I'll come, says the Maggid to him the following line. He says, I heard that you're the kind of person that keeps his word. Every time you claim that you're going to be mastering, you actually keep your word. So you're the kind of person that keeps his word no matter what. Is that true? He says, yeah. So I know you're going to come tomorrow, right? He says, yeah. Okay, now Yankel is caught. Yankel has to come. Okay, so Yankel comes to the drasha. There's certain parts of the story that are bissel maybe spitzel, but this Nikud actually plays very well with what we're talking about. This Nikud of how he comes to the drasha, and Yankel's sitting in the crowd, and the Rav gives a drasha and Kol Yisrael Yeshlam Chelek Leilam Haba. And he talks about how every year, no matter what they do, no matter where they are, he has Yankel in the crowd. That's it. And no matter what kind of behavior patterns, no matter if they're a maser, if they're a ganev, no matter what they do, it makes no difference. You should remember, there's no such thing as saying it's too late. You have to remember Kol Yisrael. And he goes a whole lengthy discussion of the concept of Kol Yisrael. And Yankel's listening. Yankel's there. As he gets into it, he turns around. And I'm so confident in this concept of Kol Yisrael Yeshlam Chelek Olam Haba that I'm actually willing to swap my Olam Haba with Yankel. Yankel, you want to swap with me? I'll make a deal with you. You take my Olam Haba and I'll take yours. I have no problem. But on one condition, that you stop the masering. I know you keep your word, right? So you're going to keep your word on this deal. We're going to make a deal. Do we have a deal? Yankel made a deal. So it's a Sheina Maisa. But it's a shpitzel. But it does have a little bit of a employing this nekuda of tickling a koyter shalemas, a kernel of truth. There's got a kernel of honesty, a shevach that he found of keeping your word to help him. See, he found a way to enter without addressing kleshach. So that's again, it takes talent, it takes effort, it takes caring more than anything else. Not necessarily talent, it takes caring. If you care for someone and you really want a change, then this is probably the only way.
When she, like you said, the old expression, good expression, catch someone being good. So I said I was raising my children by catching them being good, but how often do you catch a child being good? Not often enough. So they have a shita now, it's called the nurture house, they're talking a new expression. You hijack the child into goodness. And that's a hijack story.
This is a hijack. You take, it's emes. You're taking a moment of truth, but it's like a videotape. I call it children don't see today, you can be across the country, so you don't know anybody. So how do you talk and know the names of all your cousins and everything? I know. You show them a video. One time they were together, once a year. You keep on showing to them, Yechazer, right? So now it becomes again and again. So Yechazering a moment again and again, and now it becomes real. So the talent is you can't encounter it every day, but the moment, if you can replay the video, you're injecting a feeling again and again and again, and that's the way to be moisif shabach through highlighting shabach.
So when somebody says, how long will it take? In therapy, they say you need three things. You need frequency, duration, and intensity. So when you got more and better, then you get more success.
And over here, and probably over here, the number one is intensity. And intensity probably means emeskite, genuine, right? Genuine is the number one thing. Before you, in Dibur, the number one thing has to be genuine. Otherwise, it's Dvarim B'Telem. There's either Dvarim in Halev or Dvarim B'Telem. I don't know of the middle ground. The middle ground is probably the ones that we doubt. Is it true or is it not? But there's usually Dvarim min Halev is Poil. So let's see it inside, and then we'll go to the fourth point. So that's 6. I brought out in 7 the 3 different kinds of feelings we have. Conscious feelings. Shevach addresses all 3 areas. A Shevach can address a conscious feeling. Person does something kind to me, I say thank you. So now the person, it's a conscious feeling. He already had chesed. Or he can address a hidden feeling. We talked about hidden feeling. Person sleeping is bekas. So a Shevach can actually take away the kas. And we spoke about that. And the third area is feelings I don't even know. I can bring out the potential of someone through Shevach. And that's number 8, that speech, it doesn't only empower. It makes the other person feel a sudden feeling. So I'm actually injecting a feeling. I put this in the code of koiches versus values, because when it comes to values, someone has to be talking during davening. Other values, it's much more difficult in values. Different person, appreciation of davening. I spoke about this once, last week. 2 weeks ago, last week. Appreciation of davening. Does he have an appreciation for other people? Does he know what appreciation means? So I can't bring out his one moment of davening because I don't even know if he has that one moment, because it's totally on something else. But that brings out to 9, 10. I brought out in word in Chassidus terms is dibur chashiv k'maisa. The dibur over here is almost like a maisa. I'm doing something. Usually dibur is an instruction. Dibur is speech and maisa is action. Dibur is speech and maisa is action. Usually my speech is instructing someone else to do. Here, my speech creates a tangible feeling in the recipient. Mamish, there's an actual maisa that is a tangible result from my words, is a feeling. Boom! There's a tickling in the other person's heart. They actually feel, I am a kind person. I am responsible. I am honest. I can keep... Suddenly the person, my words injected a feeling. That's a fascinating thing of Dibur. Now let's go to the last part. Says the Rebbe, there's a fourth thing in Dibur. And this is a fascinating thing in Chinuch. And there's an area in my speech can have and the explanation of this is beyond. But this is the concept. I can have an impact on someone although he's not in front of me through my speech. Where do we have that in Torah? We have that with negative through Lashon Hara. 2 people talk about a third person, it's brought down. Why do we say Lashon Hara? Hoyreg tliso, you kill 3 people. What's the concept behind it? Why are 3 people punished? The person talking about, he didn't do anything. So it says that when I verbalize someone else's negativity, just like when I verbalize someone's positivity in front of me, there's a tangible tickling in the other person's heart from the positivity that I just now highlighted. And just like when I call out someone's negativity who's sitting in front of me, there's a tickling in their heart of, I'm a failure. If you call me a failure, I feel that inside of me, you're actually intensifying it. That also applies when the third person's not in front of me. Me discussing someone else's true negative behavior causes an intensification of that negativity. Lashon Hara causes, I'm talking about Yankel as a Ganav. So I'm sitting at the Shabbos table, unfortunately, right? And you talk about, Yankel in the city, let me tell you about the latest Geneva that he did, right? This is what happens. And everybody talks about Yankel's Geneva. Why they talk about Yankel's Gneva? Because they care. The city shouldn't have Gnevas. They're actually causing more Gnevas by calling out Yankel's Gnevas because my Dibur is Poil. This is an exceptional thing that seems to be only by Yidden.
Don't people have the choice to?
But it doesn't make Yankel there's a little bit different over here. When Yankel's in front of me, I make a tangible feeling. Here, the concept behind it is that's more of a spiritual thing. This is more of a Jewish, almost like a father feels a child. Yidden have a connecting in both ways, positive and negative. Yidden have an inner connection beyond face to face. So me calling, this is a spiritual thing. Till now was physical. This is simply the identity, this is the description of Dibur, till now. Anyone, Goy also. This last component is only by Yidden. And it plays out like this. It plays out also by positive, which means to say, if I have a child, he's not doing well. Let me play the positive, not the negative. He's not doing well. The parents sit down at night and discuss the child's behavior. Call out his positive. Discuss together with the same zealousness his capabilities. You're actually having a positive impact on him. That's what it comes out. It's written that you're supposed to talk about the chinuch of children every day. For Pashtus, it means it's informative. It's like a kind of plan. A kind of I need to know what to do. But there seems to be a deeper dimension to it, which is me calling out positivity actually can have an impact. It's a fascinating thing. But it has to be with the same zealousness of Lashon Hara. The same geschmack can have a positive impact. I discuss together, and we're talking about the other person. Amazing, look what he does. I am actually helping him. The concept behind it, the way it's brought down, machshava is a thought. Dibur, when you verbalize something, it's now becoming more real. We'll see that's how it applies to ourselves. Just like when you have a thought and you speak it out, it becomes more crystallized, it becomes clearer. When you call out something, but Dibur, it's becoming already. The Eibishter created the world through Dibur. Dibur has already, in the area of creation, maybe I use these words, I don't know if it's good words. Words can create an opportunity. Action is a reality. It's not a reality. Of course you have bechira. It's not making the other person do something. But it's creating an opportunity that he can pull from. So if it's positive, you're allowing him to draw down. It's an area of potential, right? So you're helping him. It's a spiritual thing that the only nafka for this is not about scaring us of Lashon Hara, but simply to give us another tool in the area of impacting positive change. Talk about positivity. That in itself, even if the other person is not in front, and to give us a little bit more caution, why should I call out the negativity? Interestingly enough, the Rebbe would never call out, would never say, even B'dibur. Say, why? What's the idea behind it? So I'll share with you a story. Brought on the end, but it's a story how words can create words can change a behavior pattern of yourself, but it also helps realize how words can
Create a climate,
it can actually create a change in ourselves too.
Now why are we back here?
You know, chashiv kemais is when the person is in front of me, it's making and injecting a feeling. Then there's a spiritual component behind that, even when the person's not in front of me. Person is in the hallway, across the street, across town, and we're simply talking about them, that can also impact them. So there's 4 levels. First level was sharing, tangible feeling, saying thank you. Second level is sleeping. Third level is creating, right? Then there's creating even when the person's not in front of me. Yankel is in front of me. I talk to Yankel. Yankel, you have an amazing honesty. Yankel the Moser, I talk to him in front of me, right? Here, I'm interacting. He's in front of me. Here, my child is not even in front of me. The parents are talking about the child. The child is not even there, and they can have an impact on the child. This is a ruchnistic thing that we can have. Okay, so that's the concept of malamet schus. Malamet schus doesn't mean. So that's the concept of changing negativity through praise can be from me, not from me. Now the Rebbe adds point. One more point. How the person looks at the negativity is also changed here. I'm not looking at negative. Like you said before, you don't see negative, right? Says the Rebbe, when you see how do you know about the potential of a person? How do you know what kind of potential a person has? And the challenges they face. That's what you know the potential a person has. How do I know my potential? How do I know what I'm capable of? The challenges I face teach me what I'm capable of. Why would I be given that challenge? Obviously, I have the ability to overcome it. So when a person looks at the person who's challenged with that perspective, that in itself also helps the other person. That's probably like the genuine feeling that comes out. When I look at the challenged child, I don't see negativity, I don't see failure, I see potential. But I taka see it that way. It's not just words. It's how I perceive my child, like you said in the beginning. How do I have to look at the child, and I have to look at him, and if I look at him as a failure, it's going to come out failure. Failure feeling comes out in failure feeling. But if I look at him as potential, not potential as tomorrow, this is something this is schayda. This is schayda. This is like like we say, polished time, the different words how you say it. Then it comes out, there's no negativity really. It's actually loy gnusa, it means to say there's actually no negativity here. I don't see negativity. I simply see this is a place where I have to help. An example.
Is this a global regard, or it's specifically discussing that?
I'll give you an example for this.
area?
I'll give you an example for this. Noach was found, I mentioned this Moshe a long time ago. Noach was found once, not proper. Shem and Chum came. Chum came and saw Erbas Aviv. And Shem, it says, Leiro Erbas Aviyam. 1 second, what, they were blind? Oh, they went backwards. It says Chassidus like this. Chum, when he saw Erbas Aviv, he was excited. He did this every day. This was his lifestyle. Taka, you think you're Ish Tzaddik? I chapped you! Gechapt there! You're just like me! He was excited. He comes to his brother, he says, look, Chevra, he's just like us. He's just like me. Raw Erbas Aviv is perception. You're in my... Shame, they never looked... He fell into it's a mistake. They never saw Erva. They never saw negativity. They saw that they have to now help him out in his mistake and something that happened. They never saw negativity. When you're a shoemaker, you see shoes. So what you see is going to be it. So they don't see negativity. That's what don't seeing negativity means. The perception that you have behind your action, behind your dibur, that is how it will come out. And that's a little deeper behind the Shavach. It's not just highlighting Shavach, it's also how I see the Gnus. I'm highlighting Shavach, but I'm also looking at the person, I don't see you as Gnus. And that comes out in the Masaper B'Shavach. That comes out in his words. That the child feels, he's Masaper B'Shavach. And it brings out the Shavach, and it allows the Gnus to go away.
Are you saying that if a teacher says a student has potential?
It depends how you say it. You can say it and you can say it and you can say it and you can say it. You can say it and Bagroben Emetsen, and you can say it and...
So they're saying that the student actually overcame challenges or they view
And that's not the word. I don't know what to tell you. If it depends how the child hears it. If the child comes home upset, then the teacher didn't say it right. You can bury someone by saying that, and you can lift them up by saying that. Depends how you say it. I don't know. Give the child to realize. I saw another mashal. What was it? Mashal of a butterfly. A child was once seeing a butterfly. They have to come out of the cocoon, and they have it's attached. It's carrying the. Anybody know the mashal? No. So they're attached to something. What is it called? They're attached to.
Chrysalis.
Yeah. So the child cuts it off to help them come out, and now the butterfly can't fly. The idea behind it was the challenges help you fly. Don't look at it as challenges, as this is helping you fly. You want to fly in life? Challenges are going to help you fly in life. I don't see this as negativity. I don't see this as, this is going to help you fly in life. Push through it. I see it. It depends how you look at it. If you're going to look at it, a nebach butterfly, the butterfly feels like a nebach. If you're going to tell him, I have experience, I'm telling you, you're going to be flying soon. You're going to be a flyer. Freaking flyer. It's a bit, he's going to feel that. He's going to be a freaking flyer. But otherwise, he's not going to be a freaking flyer. Okay, let's go to the last part. So that helps explain the first. But now, just to finish this, it's brought down another point. How do words change ourselves? So in the Kitzur, how do words change ourselves? It's brought down the Rambam. The Rambam says this, in Tshuva, you have to verbalize Tshuva. Right? You have to say, I'm sorry. The last part, 15. Yeah? So Tshuva, you have to verbalize it. What happens if a person, I'll say this big Kitzur, what happens if a person has an insincere verbalization of tshuva. I'm sorry, but I really can't wait for the moment to do it again. Right? Insincere, this happens all the time. Apologies. It's a beautiful word on apology. So is that worth anything? Seemingly, it's worth nothing. An apology has to be sincere. Vidui has to be echad b'peh v'echad b'lev. Says the Rambam, it's toivel v'sheretz b'yover. It's like you're toiveling in the mikveh, but you hold the sheretz in your hand. So Mefarshim ask a question. The Rebbe asks us. Toivel? It's nothing. Why is it kitoy? It's a sheretz. It's not a kitoivel v'sheretz b'yodei. It's nothing. Why are you saying it's as if you went into a mikveh and you're holding a sheretz? Say it's as if you are a sheretz because you really don't want to apologize. So you are sheretz. Why are you telling me I'm a toivel and I have a sheretz in my hand? Doesn't make sense. You're telling me I did something but I didn't do enough. I didn't do anything. That explains from this. Dibur in itself does do something. He explains like this. Why is it that a person, when they say something that they don't feel, they feel embarrassed? Because Dibur forces me to reevaluate my feeling. I didn't yet decide to change. But that moment that I'm like, why don't I want to say something? Why? Just say it. Who cares? Just say it. Because when I say it, I know I have to be owned by it. So I'm actually doing something to myself by saying something. Very deep point. A child, play it out with a child. Child's fighting. We do this all the time. Say I'm sorry. I don't want to say I'm sorry. When you push them to say it, there's going to be more feelings coming out after that. They might cry. I didn't want, it was really not my fault. Suddenly new feelings will come out. Didn't really mean it, right? Dibur is not only an export, it's an import. It's not only exporting existing feelings, it's creating new feelings within me. Now, it doesn't mean to say that I'm going to suddenly feel like I'm a tzaddik. It's forcing me to rethink. This is another area in Dibur that's important to note. It's not a madrega would mean not for everybody. It's for everyone. This is the nature of every person. When we say something,
They're gonna do it again.
yeah, so you have to catch them at that moment. When they're forcing, see, what happens the moment I want to say something? You know what happens? This is how it plays out. Why sometimes before I share an idea, I want to share something. I want to say something. I want to say, I don't know if I want to share with Achloto. Achloto is my birthday. I don't know if I want to share with everybody. Why? Because I'm not sure if I want to do it. And why when I say it, I have to do it. So I don't know if I want to say it. And when I say it, do I really want to do it? That's usually before saying you rethink. Essentially before saying anything, do I really want to do it? So when you're saying you're all right, so I'm forcing you to rethink. Why are you sorry? Explain. You're helping. It's another tool. It doesn't bring to a conclusion, but it's another tool to awaken a feeling. That's why I said before, when you're helping the other person verbalize their feeling, you're intensifying a feeling, and you can also create the beginning of a feeling. You can help them bring out a feeling, and really with apology, it's probably there. They might just have excuses that are on top of it, that don't let it come out. But it could. The verbalizing is toivel v'sheretz b'yodei. It's something. There's a tangible, the Lashon is a feeling of embarrassment. Is it really me? In Chassidus, the words go not to my conscious feeling, but they go, is this really me? That's really the question I ask before I say something. I don't only ask what I feel. Is this really me? Do I want to be this? This might be something I do, but is it really me? Do I want to be this? Words are really go beyond what I do now. I might be doing it. I don't want to tell everybody. What? Oh, it's not really me. The words are another step in the process of me identifying myself. Say it, B'dibur. Say it. Push yourself. What's push yourself? Push yourself, it could actually mean that you're pushing yourself.
Self-examination opportunity?
Yeah, but it doesn't change you as now you're a tzaddik. It could just be another tool in helping, just like when you verbalize a thought, it becomes a thought, you verbalize a feeling, you feel a feeling, you could verbalize an apology and now feel it. You can begin to feel a little bit more of the apology. But that's so I wanted to give two examples for that. There was a person at a warehouse, and he was a manager in the warehouse. A beautiful example that brings out this Nakuda. Dibur changes a person. He had a warehouse, and he had a lot of people who used not proper language in the warehouse. That's how the warehouse is a lot of times. So he made a rule in his warehouse, as the manager, there's only proper language. So one of the Mexicans that worked there, so anytime they would start using, hey, stop, this is not what we do up here. And kachave, whether it's a super, whether it's whoever it was, they knew in this warehouse you can't speak foul language. One day, a Mexican comes over, I have to share with you something. I said, what happened? He said, I came home and my wife tells me, what happened to you? So I said, well, what do you mean? The Mexican says. So she says, I see you stop using foul language in the home and you become more of a mensch in the house. He says, what happened? So he turns around to the manager and says, because of you. See, I only stopped it in the beginning in the warehouse. Then I stopped it in the house. And then I also stopped other things that came along with that foul language. And my wife now commented that she sees a change. She's like, I told her, thank you. So he started something that was insincere. He didn't want to stop saying something. He pushed him. Sometimes you can push and from the outside to make the change. Not only from the inside, it can actually be from the outside. So this is an example of it's not saying something, making a change, but it's not saying something. But it's the same concept of how dibur can make a change. So that's the last point. To summarize, we start off with the idea of how shvachim can change ourselves, and we finished change others, and we finished with how shvachim can actually change ourselves. When we verbalize things, when we say things, you make achlata, it's a process. And the reason why we don't want to say is because we don't want to be owned by it. Dibur is not only an expression, we feel owned by the words we say. It's mechayev me. It makes me, I'm responsible by my words. It's like arrows. I'm responsible by my words. I have to, so now it's like signing a deal. I don't want to sign it. I like to be on I'll see, renegotiate later. Achshavas, you can renegotiate. Dibur, you already said it. Oh, you said it. I'm not sure if I really want to say it. So dibur, when you push ourselves to say something, it can actually cause us to be. So that's the area of where you say it, be it, or whatever they say. But that's the concept of how dibur can come from the outside. With that we finish. There's a letter that I shared with you over here on concept of negative words on a person's health. You can read it inside. You can see it for yourself. It's a letter that Rebbe writes how a person's health was impacted by mevati inyonim hepech habracha. I guess he had foul language or whatever it was constantly. And also the letter, and that same letter talks about shalom, peace in the home, how it affects. Again, the concept of not saying right words can have an actual effect on a person. There's a story in the Chreinus about words. Words are a powerful thing. Words can do toivel, ra, right? Words are actually something that are something. They're a real thing. We'll finish with that.